Welcome back. Welcome back. We missed you. We missed you.
You guys are going to have to get used to Casey singing.
Yeah, because I think I have musical Tourette's. I tell people all the time that I think I have musical Tourette's at work.
I've never heard of that medical condition, Casey.
Well, I mean, I just belt out in random song at inappropriate times.
I think this was very appropriate.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Well, I think musical Tourette's might be I don't know where I was going with that. Never mind. I have musical Tourette's, everybody. That's self-diagnosed, and it's not a bad thing.
It's definitely a real thing, and there's a lot of support groups for it, and we're here to support Casey.
Yeah. So get used to hearing me sing.
Anyways, welcome back, Book Girlies. We're here to talk about the Tattered and Torn series by Cowles.
Cowles, yeah.
One of our favorite authors of all time.
Amazing.
Literally, this woman can do no wrong. She could write me her grocery list, and I would read it. I'm not gonna play.
Yeah, I mean, every series. Well, actually, we've only probably read Tattered and Torn, and then
she has Tattered and Torn,
and then Lost and Found.
Lost and Found. I cannot think of what the new one is, but everything that I've read from her so far, I really have loved.
She's amazing at suspense, romance, all the fun stuff, crime, and I'm a crime junkie, so
Casey's all about
down my alley.
Yeah, Casey's all about true crime, and whenever we had found Catherine Cowles on TikTok, she wasn't even on Kindle Unlimited yet, so it was definitely you have to buy the book. It was very much commitment. You know what I'm saying? You have to buy the book and then just hope that you liked it, and we fucking loved it.
All the books that we've read though are very well balanced when it comes to the romance, the suspense, the lead up and build up and all that stuff. It's just
and I will say, she will leave you with your jaw on the freaking floor. You're going through these books and you're like, yeah, for sure. I know who did it. I know who's traumatizing them, who's stalking them, who's leaving these scary notes on their car or whatever.
And it's just psych, you don't know anything at all.
No idea. Truly, honestly,
who's that person?
I think it's the fourth book had me, what do the kids say now? Shook it. That shit had me on the floor. I was losing my mind. But we're going to start with the first one, which is Tattered Stars. And it is about Everly and Hayes.
Yes.
Most of these books do follow the Hayes family. I think that there's...
The Eastons.
What did I say?
The Hayes family, the Eastons.
Yeah, the Easton family. I get messed up whenever their first name is a last name.
Yeah.
I totally get that messed up. That's my bad.
That's all right. We'll forgive you this time.
Yeah, the Easton family is what most of these books follow. There is one book that is a side character, but she's a very beloved side character. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the Tattered Stars with Everly and Hayes. The book starts out with Everly as a child, sneaking through her house.
It's crazy shit, guys.
Yes, sneaking through her house, planning an escape so she can make it to town to be able to let the officers know that, hey,
my dad's got somebody in a shed out back.
Yeah, that little girl that you guys are looking for, she's at our house in the shed out back.
Yeah.
And thank goodness that she did, because guess what? If she had not... Little Shiloh would have died of dehydration.
Whenever I tell you, me reading it for the first time, I'm not even joking. The first page. I don't think I've ever read a book where, yeah, sure, the first chapter or two kind of hooks me. No, the first freaking page. Because
you're starting off strong.
It starts off with her sneaking through this house, knowing that she's about to rat on her dad and piss off her entire family. And
because not that they're doomsday preppers,
sovereign citizens.
The sovereign citizens, they technically laws and rules and whatever else.
Think that they can just kind of do their own thing. They don't follow the law. Yeah, and her dad is mentally abusive and
physically abusive.
Yeah, and just her knowing that her knowing that she's going to the police, knowing that even if the police don't do anything, she's gonna go home and her dad's gonna go freaking crazy. And it's just so brave of her. And then you kind of see her. It's the first kind of chapter And then the rest of the book follows her. I don't even know how many years later, whenever she comes back.
I want to say it's 10 years later.
Yeah.
After her father was arrested,
Yeah.
her mom left.
He went to jail.
Yes. Well, not jail, prison.
Prison.
Where they punish those types of people. And by those types of people, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. So after her dad was arrested, she went and lived with a relative in another city, another state. And then when she was old, she finally decided, okay, I want to go back to Wolf Gap.
Yeah, trying to like heal herself a little bit. And she knows like she's an adult. She's kind of moved past like all the bad things that's happened in her life. Now, mind you, she's like alone. Like her mom, her brother, everyone else has like disowned her, so she really only has like the one relative from like out of town. So she's coming back, knowing that everyone in the town
probably is not going to be happy that she's there. And boy, was she right, because when Hayes, who is now sheriff,
he was mad.
Yeah, boy, finds out that she's back and runs her down just as soon as she gets to her new place.
Yeah, definitely tries to spook her off, and she's like,
"Don't you think my family's been through enough?" Well, like, what about her, though?
Right, exactly. Like,
her family basically berated her and
treated her like a pariah, even though she did the right thing. Like, oh my God, I could literally go on and on.
I know.
But, like, seeing Hayes kind of get over, like, his preconceived notions of, like, how she was gonna be, and she's gonna be evil just like her dad, and then, like, him seeing her and like realize like, no, she's not evil, she's actually a freaking great person, because she's turning the land into an animal sanctuary, and clearly
abused
like
animals, because abused just like her.
Yeah, it's just, God, it's so good. And I'm telling you, like, this book is so bingeable. It's not long at all.
And he doesn't, let's just say, he does not stay mad for long. He becomes smitten, and he also gets a talking to by his parents.
That boy falls hard.
She's not her dad. Like, you need to calm down.
I feel like her parents are very much like, like the bricks, which all of this is built, is because like the way that they handle this, like they could have handled it a completely different way, and like,
because it was their daughter,
and like treated Everly in a way that wouldn't have been good, just because of the way that Everly's dad, kidnapped Shiloh, which is absolutely freaking crazy. But yeah, this book is literally like 300 pages of pure greatness. I love it. Whenever I tell you, if anyone's like getting into reading, if you're not sure about romance, or like, because there is spice in this, it's not like crazy spice, and there's not like a ton of it, but it is like explicit, so this is definitely not for freaking children.
You know what they're doing.
And she tells you, Catherine will give you a play-by-play on what's going on, but like, if you're not sure about like spicy romance or whatever, this is like the number one book recommendation I give to people, because like, you're gonna fall in love. You're gonna be freaking hooked.
She does a fantastic job of creating characters and personalities and commonalities with all of her characters that you just really cannot help but to be like, oh my God, I love him. Like, I want to find a Hayes Easton one day.
Well, and like, you're like in the middle of book one, and like, she's giving you like little hints and kind of things that's going on with the other side characters and the other Easton, siblings, and you're like, wait a second, where's Everly's book? Where's Beckett's book? Where I need to know what's going on with them. Like, she definitely plants the seed, and let me tell you, that tree grows, baby. That thing grows.
Yeah, absolutely. She creates a universe, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You end up thinking that you live in Wolf Gap, Oregon as well.
Totally there.
So,
right with them.
Book number 2 is Falling Embers with Calder and Hadley. Hadley is an Easton as well. And they both work for the
EMTs, right?
EMT and fire department.
Yeah, so they're like emergency responders.
Emergency service.
Yeah.
Responders, yes.
Yep.
And so they've known each other since childhood. Let's just say that, well, not let's just say, but Calder was Hayes' best friend growing up. So
we love a brother's best friend story, because let me tell you.
Yes. So he was always around the Easton family, and then him and Hadley always had this little thing going on.
Total flirty vibes.
Yes. And then so he gets married and has
to someone else. How dare he?
and she wasn't great at all.
No, she was a total bitch.
Ended up leaving, and he becomes a single dad of twin girls, Birdie and Sage.
They're just so cute.
And they are just adopted into the Easton family away.
I love a single dad romance. And, like, especially, like, single dad where, like, the love interest knew the girls from birth. And, you know what I'm saying? She's not, like, coming in, like, the middle of it. Like, Hadley knew the girls, like, as soon as they were born. She was in their lives. She has a relationship with these girls. So, like, now that, like, their mom's out of the picture, you know, just Calder kind of finding his way with that is great.
I think part of him being single for so long, because I think in this book they were around, I want to say 8 years old. I could be wrong young. About that.
Oh yeah, super young. But they're also, like, not, like, 2 years old where they don't understand what's going on.
So their mom's not around, and I think he's wary of dating somebody and the girls falling in love with him, and that's just another mother that walked out on them.
Because Hadley is a daredevil.
She's a daredevil.
Like,
she loves mountain biking and flying off cliffs and doing tricks and all kinds of things.
So after Shiloh's kidnapping, their parents kind of went a little full-on helicopter mode and was like,
more so mom than dad.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Like, you're not leaving my side. Which, honestly, same. You kidnap my kids, I would never leave them out of my side ever again. So I can't, like, fault her for that. But I will say she went a little, like, too helicopter-y on Hadley, and Hadley's like, you know what? Hold my beer. Let me go run off this freaking cliff with my mountain bike. And I'm like, I'm reading it, and, like, I'm thinking this whole time, I'm like, this girl's gonna get hurt. She's crazy. She's insane. I could never. Like, living vicariously through a character, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was a very, very good book. And like we've said multiple times, all of these books are suspenseful, have their own bits of crazy things going on that they have to solve the mystery.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I will say, like, this one, not that it wasn't my favorite, I feel like coming off of Tattered Stars, because I read both of the first 2 books, Tattered Stars and Falling Embers, in a single day. So, like, in the morning I read Tattered Stars, at night I read Falling Embers. So I was, like, going into it, and I feel like
I'm already emotionally damaged by the first one.
Yeah, I don't think I connected with Hadley and Calder as much as, like, I could have if I would have just, like, waited a few days. But it's literally so addicting. I couldn't wait a few days. Like, I had to have this in my hands immediately. It was insane. But, like, the plot twist.
It was like we were reading them at the same time, and she's like, I just ordered the second one. It's coming in the mail. Yep. I'm ordering the third one. You know what? I might as well just get the rest of the series because
just full send.
Yeah.
Because I knew. And, like, this was, like, our first time reading Catherine Cowles. Immediate, like, auto-buy author status. Immediately right after that. Yeah.
No, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So the third book, Hidden Waters, is about Addie Kemper, which is Everly's cousin, and Beckett Easton, which is obviously part of the Easton family.
Yeah, he's, like, the oldest brother, I think, right?
I believe so, yes. He was the oldest brother. After the kidnapping and the helicoptering of their parents.
He had to get out of Wolf Gap. He was like, let me be free, but also, he's a doctor, so...
Yep, he ended up going to school to be a doctor, and then he was working for Doctors Without Borders. So he was over in, I believe it was Africa, and, you know, those war-torn countries and stuff like that.
Some things happen to him where he's got a little bit of trauma, and, you know, after, you know, Hayes kind of comes to terms with the things that happened and, you know, lets go of a little bit. I feel like Beckett feels like he could, you know, maybe come home, and there are some things. And so Beckett ends up coming home, and Addie gets out of the sovereign citizen kind of
compound.
Yeah, that they live in.
And mind you, she's like, I want to say about mid-20s.
Oh, yeah, she's
lived under the thumb of her father and brother her entire life. And, you know, it took Everly coming back, meeting Hayes, and Everly trying to form a relationship with Addie and stuff, and is like, listen, we can help you. Yeah, we will get you out. We'll give you a place to live. We'll help you get a job. You know, you don't have to be stuck in that situation the rest of your life. Obviously, something like that, she's terrified.
I feel like she definitely built up a lot of confidence.
Stockholm syndrome. I mean,
yeah,
come on.
Yeah. She definitely built up a lot of confidence seeing Everly, and in Everly's book, you do get like little bits of Addie, and you're like, gosh, like that girl just needs to get out, just like Everly. And then finally she does, and then like you see her get out, and like the way that she has to, because she's taught her whole life like not to trust these outside people and not to believe anything that they say, and then having to learn that it is okay to trust these people and it's okay to ask for help, and just seeing her navigate that is crazy. This is one of my favorite books out of the series.
Yeah. And then once they finally do get her out and she's starting to, somewhat find her way, her brother, her dad harass her every time they see her in town, and she has such PTSD and being stuck in that situation, she's the social anxiety and all of that stuff plays into it. And then
it's definitely not easy for her, like trying to navigate normal life for her. I definitely agree with that.
So Hayes moves to Everly's house at the end of their book, which leaves Hayes' house in town available.
Hayes' house is empty, so obviously Beckett and Addie are going to fill it. I love a roommate trope. Like, there's just something about the forced proximity, like early in the morning, like making your coffee, making your breakfast, and like they're just standing there in the kitchen. Oh, God, I eat that shit up every single time. It's so good.
Yeah, no. This is behind, no, I'm not even gonna say that. I was gonna say it's probably my second favorite behind Tattered Stars.
Wrong. We already know what the second is. We haven't gotten there yet. You'll just have to wait.
Well, I was gonna say Tattered Stars actually might be number 2, which would make this one 3.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you.
Yeah, because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay,
wait a second.
How am I building like my favorites, and we haven't even gotten through all the books?
We're like going through like, for sure, this one's our favorite, and then we go to the next one. We're like, wait, no, this one was the favorite.
They're
all so good.
They are,
and they are so bingeable. Whenever I tell you, like this whole series, number one, it's on Kindle Unlimited now, so you can literally binge this for basically free. Girl math, and you need. If you haven't, what are you doing?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's so good.
All right. 4th book, Shattered Sea, and this is about Laken and Bowden Kavanaugh. Bowden was a movie star in Hollywood, and some things happened where he needed to get out of town. These things that happened are because of his brother, and yes. Nasty man.
Yeah.
And then whatever he did ended up taking the life of his longtime girlfriend.
So yeah, Bowden definitely like goes to Wolf Gap. Number one, he's
to get away.
He's researching for a role, but he's also like
he is doing that too.
He's also like, okay, like I'm gonna take this time for myself, kind of get over my girlfriend, which I don't think that they were like the most in love. I think it was just more like paparazzi image type thing.
Well, he says in the book, he talks about how they did love each other, like were in love at first, but over time it was the comfortability of being together,
being complacent.
Yes. And he was so busy and it was just easier that way, but
it's just easier to stay together at that point. Until she died.
Yes, but he does say that it was more of a best friendship than it was a full-on romance. And with him being this big movie star now, he doesn't have the time that he did back then for her. And so then she starts finding comfort in his brother, and who is a drug addict, and they start doing those drugs together, sleeping together, and then she ends up ODing.
Yeah, it's super crazy. So Casey recently reread this book. If you can't tell, like it's been a while since I've reread this. I will say the celebrity trope, like celebrity going to a small town trope or whatever you want to call it, is not my favorite. I will tell you, this is one of the celebrity romances I could get behind, because it didn't feel like he was like big shot. Paparazzi was following him everywhere. Like, I just can't. I don't know what it is. I can't stand it.
He doesn't have that big head, like, woe is me, please, everybody.
Yeah, he's not like, someone go get me my coffee. He's like, I'm going to go get it myself.
I don't know if we talked about this in the last episode, but it was like 6 months ago. I was telling Sydney how we had read this book about this boyfriend and girlfriend. They were at the lake with a bunch of their friends.
Oh and the prologue for this book is what she's talking about, because she came up to me and she's like, Sydney, what is the name of this book? And she's like, the girlfriend and the boyfriend, they're in a car accident and he dies. And I'm like, Casey, I've never read that book a day in my life.
I'm like, no, yes, we have.
She's like, no, you totally have. Like, me and you both, like, I don't understand.
We talked about this. See, okay, and so
this is that book.
After a while, I start forgetting the names and authors and whatnot. I'll remember what the story is. And I will go to her and I'm like, okay, these are the highlights of it. And
this,
then
she'll be other, what book is it?
Yeah, and she'll be like, oh, this one right here. And then, but this time she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like,
I truly erased this straight from my brain. Whenever she asked me, I'm like, I've never read that ever. Yeah. And she's like, yes, you have. This is that book. The prologue, whenever I tell you, I have never wanted to cry in a prologue.
It was so sad.
It was so emotional, and like, you're going through it, and like, you're in Laken's point of view, okay? Because this is a dual point. I cannot say that word. Dual point of view book where you get Laken and Bowden's point of view. In the first one, you're in Laken's, and seeing her kind of go through what she did in her past. Obviously, it, goes through the book and seeing what she goes through now in the future, but I wanted to sob so hard in this prologue. I literally, like, in my review of this book on Goodreads, I'm like, Catherine, what is wrong with you? How can you put me through that emotional, like, trauma? Like, page 2, I'm dying. Yeah,
well, the accident that they end up getting into, because she was a gymnast.
Yeah.
And she, I think, had gotten a scholarship. I could be wrong about that, but she was going places with gymnastics. And this accident caused
irreversible?
Irreversible injuries.
Look at us with the big words today.
It caused irreversible injuries that there was no way she would be able to do gymnastics anymore. I mean,
a lot of pain.
Her living comfortably just in present day in the book was a lot to
you
ask.
Definitely see her like struggle with, and I feel like this is definitely like a good representation of people who struggle with pain every day. Just kind of going through and doing like the little things, like getting up, making your bed, making your coffee, getting dressed, going to work, and just how she was in pain that whole time because of the accident that happens in the prologue.
Yeah.
And how Bowden sees that, and then how he helps her, but not like does it all for her. He still definitely lets her be her own person. But whenever I tell you,
a big part of this book too is, were you making sure the light was still on?
I turned mine off, yeah.
A big part of this book, it also, not only is she living with the physical pain from that car accident, she has to live with the emotional and psychological.
Like
yes.
Well, she has survivor's guilt for sure.
Well, absolutely, because she was absolutely in love with him, but also his mom, like, still 10 years later is like, oh, he's about to come home from work. Oh, it's his birthday.
It's his birthday. Let's get him a present. Yeah.
And she expects Laken to stay like single and
like present in the fact that
like they're still together. There's no way Laken would ever find another man because she's supposed to be in love with him and they're getting married and all this other stuff.
And like you can see like Laken and Bowden like falling for each other and the things that they do for each other and how they help each other and lift each other up. And then like Bowden just supporting her in her grief is one of my favorite things about this book. I feel like that's what made me really like it, is because he could have been like, oh, that's weird, you still celebrate your, dead boyfriend's birthday. He wasn't like that at all. He was very understanding in the fact that, like, yes, she's going to grieve this man that she thought she was going to have a future with, she was going to have all these things with, but he wasn't jealous, but he did like stand up for her with Jace. Isn't that the guy's name? Jace.
Yes,
Jace.
The brother's name was her boyfriend that died's name is Jace.
Yeah.
The brother's name is Jax.
Yeah. So Jace, the boyfriend that died, whenever she's kind of feeling guilty because she doesn't want to, every day kind of feel this grief, and like Jace's mom is like, why don't you want to feel like,
she's
making
wanting
her
to
feel bad.
She's wanting to move on with her life in a way, and she feels guilty because of everything that happened, but also she doesn't have a family. Her mom doesn't care to come around and see her. They were her family, and she doesn't want to give that up. So having Bowden now that accepts her and for everything, it allows her to be comfortable enough to step away from Jace's family, because now she's creating one of her own, so she doesn't have to rely on other people. It's just her and Bowden now.
I do feel like that was like one of my favorite parts of like her learning, like, it's okay to let the past go. I'm telling you.
I mean, 10 years.
God,
that's a long time.
This whole series, but like specifically this one, number one, the suspense in this one, it's very subtle with like the things that are going on in the beginning towards the middle, but like the end, whenever I tell you, I was freaking losing my mind at the plot twist of this, because you're going through it and you're like, oh yeah, it's definitely, it's definitely this person, or it's definitely this going on. This is what's happening for sure. Because Catherine Cowles like leaves little sprinkles of things, and you're like, he's the one that did it. It's him. I would be a terrible cop. Really? Because I'm like, arrest that man, and it's not that man.
Well, this entire series, you can't so good. You can't look at the obvious things that she's throwing in your face, because that's never what it's going to be.
You can't. It's very much like one of those things where you're in your mind, you're like, okay, it's either this person or this person. It's one of the two. I know I'm right. And then she like, just kidding, throws you for a freaking loop, and then you're sitting there staring at a wall for 20 minutes wondering how the hell you ended up in this freaking situation. It's crazy. This ending had me screaming.
Yeah. Well, and also this book then brings in the character of Ramsay Bishop.
Oh my God.
Because Bowden is living on Ramsay's property, which is unknown because Ramsay is a secluded guy.
He's a recluse.
Yes,
he's a recluse. He stays by himself. He doesn't want to be around people. He hates people. He's very much, there are some things that happened in his past where he would rather them stay in the past, and he knows that if he gets close to all these people that his past could come to light, and he doesn't want to deal with it. He doesn't want to talk about it.
Well, the chaos of being in prison and stuff like that. Now that he's out, like, he has his land and his horses and his dog Kai, and that's all he wants.
Yeah.
So to let Bowden stay on his property was a big step for him, which everybody in town was like, wait, you're staying at Ramsay's place?
You're going to get shot. That man's freaking crazy. He's a recluse. He's whatever.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
But this leads us in to Fractured Sky, which is about Ramsay Bishop, and bringing it all home with the evolution of Shiloh Easton.
Yeah, because definitely, like, through you get everyone's story, okay, throughout all of these books, and you can read them standalones. Where if you wanted to go just in the Shattered Sea, you definitely could, and you're not going to be confused. But you should not do that. You should read them start to finish purely because of this book right here. Because Shiloh's story will make you yearn for just a happy ending. You want this girl to feel loved and secured and just everything that she's been through. You're thinking this whole time, like, because you get little bits of Shiloh throughout everyone else's book. But the whole time you're sitting there like, oh my God, where's Shiloh? Where's she at? I want to know more. Give me more. You get more. It's
yeah, you do. So the series begins with Shiloh getting kidnapped. It ends with her finding her happiness. And
God, it's so poetic.
I know.
Oh my God.
Now, Ramsay and Shiloh, they are kindred spirits. They like their quiet, their seclusion. They love animals. They are animal whisperers, primarily horses.
I feel like...
And every time throughout the series, Shiloh would get stressed out or overwhelmed in, like, a situation with the family where everybody's like, we need to fix her, but there's nothing wrong with her. She just doesn't know how to express the way she feels. So anytime the family situation got too overwhelming for her and she needed to get away, she would always show up at Ramsay's. But at first, it was never like going straight up to him and stuff like that. It was always her on a cliff.
Oh yeah, from the distance.
From a distance.
She definitely had to like build up the nerve to go talk to this man.
And he knew she was there too. He knew.
Yeah.
And he just
and you see it like because this is you get Ramsey's point of view and Shiloh's point of view. I feel like that's what really made this super special because you got to know what was in their head the whole time. Like, if anything was happening, you're like, I wonder what Shiloh's thinking. Turn the freaking page and you're going to get it. Because
yeah. So eventually, she's like, I need to move off my family's property. Yeah. And I need to start doing things on my own. They need to stop worrying about me so much. And they need to see that I can take care of myself. After 10 years of helicoptering over her after being kidnapped. And so she moves to Ramsey's place and lives in the guest cabin.
Yeah.
And she starts helping with the horses. And so
again, with the forced proximity.
Yeah. So abused, malnourished horses, they get brought to Ramsey's place. He rehabilitates horses that have been abused. And so just like the both of them, that is what
kind of brings them together. Yeah. Like she almost like
they see themselves in the horses.
Yeah, almost like a kindred spirit, like with her. And the whole series, you see Shiloh kind of, she has her own horse and her own animals at her family's house. But you really see her grow in this book to a more comfortable person because it cannot be easy. Just putting yourself in Shiloh's shoes, it can't be easy walking around this town where everyone knows you were kidnapped whenever you were younger and just feeling sorry for you. And I'm sure that gets old. And then, she's finally able to go to Ramsey's where she feels like she has a connection with someone and, he kind of gets it. Yeah. And I feel like that's
absolutely. And then to add on to their comfortability with each other and then with the horses and trying to find a dynamic which works for them. Then there's these two kids.
Oh my God.
So one of the horses that was brought to them was this just nasty man.
Didn't the cops take the horse from that guy?
So animal control seized the horse and he was known for animal abuse and stuff like that, but he also had two sons.
Yeah, so it's you can imagine, so Shiloh and Ramsey get this horse, okay, and they're mega freaking pissed because of the condition that the horse is in, and then they find out that there are two young children there.
Well, the oldest was in high school.
Yeah.
The youngest, I think, was at the end of his elementary years. But if the father wasn't taking his anger out on the horse, he was taking his anger out on the oldest.
Exactly.
To keep him from taking it out on the youngest.
I would pay Catherine Cowles an obscene amount of money for a book about those boys. Oh my God. Could you imagine, to see them, 20 years later? Catherine.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're watching this, but if you are, please, for the love of all things holy, give me that book because I need it. I would love it.
Yeah, I know. That would be absolutely fantastic.
Would that be crazy?
Actually.
Yeah.
But these boys end up spending a lot of time on the farm or the ranch, whatever you want to call it.
Because they want to see their horse.
Yeah. And Ramsey and Shiloh end up falling in love with these boys and becoming very protective of him.
You also
fall them, I should say.
Yeah, you also fall in love with these two kids. And then, the way that, Shiloh and Ramsey, yes, they're, together, but they're not, together. You know what I'm saying? And then it's, they both conjoin in the fact that their dad is a piece of shit and that he needs to go away and just all of them coming together is magic.
Yeah, it is. It's actually fantastic. And we're not going to spoil all the excitement in the book, but at the epilogue,
I was in tears.
They are at the oldest graduation.
In tears.
Wasn't it he came up to them and was like, Mom and Dad,
thank you so much. Casey's gonna make me cry again. I'm telling you. Hold on. How many pages is this book? It's 330 pages of pure freaking emotional trauma, but in the best way because the whole time, again with Shiloh, you're wondering what's going on with her. and what's in her brain, what is she thinking, because anytime anyone brings up like her mental like stability or anything like that in any of the other books, she runs away because she doesn't want to talk about it. And then in this book, she finally finds someone who she can relate to and talk about it. And then like Casey said, like Ramsey come from prison, so it's like people don't have this great notion about Ramsey, and then him finding someone who treats him like an equal and treats him like an actual person.
Yeah, it's
so good.
Yeah, my favorite. The ending just, I wanted to cry. And he's like, thank you, Mom and Dad.
I was sobbing. I literally was like texting Casey, and I'm like, Casey.
Yeah.
Because we were, again, this was not on Kindle Unlimited at the time. So she had to wait for me to be done. So I was like texting her about it, but I couldn't text her spoilers. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Because I'm like, Casey, oh my God. Casey, oh my God, you wait. Casey, oh my God. And she's like, just freaking hurry up and finish it so I can read it.
It's so funny. Now, when we first started like really getting into reading and sharing books and stuff like that, we would text each other. But now it's like Snapchat videos that last like 3 minutes.
It's literally, as long as Snapchat will let me go, I'll yap. Like, I don't care.
We never saved any of the videos. And so now.
Oh, Casey started saving her videos because I asked her to. Some of the shit that she sends me, I'm like, I need to post this on the internet for everyone to see.
Sent you something the other day. I was working 3 to 11 at the hotel, and I sent you something. I was sitting in the back office reading Ruthless Savage by
We're gearing up for our Irish Mafia episode if you're...
for St. Patrick's Day.
If you're interested.
So anyway, I was sending her this video, and she goes, please tell me that you saved that.
Because
and
I was cackling. She sent it to me, and I'm sitting there laughing out loud.
I was like, oh my God, this book is making me want a gangster so bad. I want them to murder, kill.
Yeah, murder, kill. And I was like, Queasy, you had to save this. Please tell me you have it. And she's like, no, I didn't even think about it. I was like, I need you to save your snaps for now on, because that's gold. That is TikTok gold. Murder, kill. I was dying. And she was like, yeah, no, definitely didn't save it. I'm like,
if you saw my Snap videos about Onyx Storm when I was staying in the hotel, oh my God.
Honestly, if we had any of those, I don't think that we'd be able to post them on the internet. I feel like they'd be too explicit because we were cussing up a storm.
I told you guys in the last episode, I'm trying to slow down on my potty mouth, and
it's not working. Clearly.
Actually,
it's not working for me.
Well, when I'm at home or like I'm here, I don't cuss that bad, but at work, I just get so frustrated sometimes.
Just let it rip.
I just go in the back office and start saying explicit things.
That's honestly so funny.
Okay.
Bye, Book Girlies.
Bye, my Book Girlies. Love you. Have a good week. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.